The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery podcast, the podcast that is here to help you, a loved one, or a friend get started down the road to recovery. This is the Friends in Recovery podcast, brought to you by the Genesis House. Genesis House, providing a safe, nurturing environment to heal from addiction since 1992. Please be a friend and share our message with a friend on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube. And now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, welcome everyone. Friends in Recovery podcast. And we're broadcasting live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. What a place this is, I'll tell you. Every week, it's better and better.
Absolutely.
I'm Mike Miles.
Rich Lombardi, the step guy.
And I'm Chionchio.
That's right. And we're missing Jeff Zeisel today. Where's Jeff today?
Hey, I think he's in the Amazon somewhere.
Yes,
and that's not the ordering company, the Amazon.
Nice.
Wherever that is.
Right. He's probably hunting tarantulas.
Yes.
You know?
He's traveling the happy road of destiny.
We are your
We
friends.
miss you, Jeff.
We certainly do. We are your friends in recovery, and come get sober with us. And you can reach us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. We have an 800 number, 800-989-6504, friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure you like us and subscribe. And we would like to also thank Genesis House. It's very important for sponsoring Friends in Recovery podcast. They're a wonderful organization, recovery. They just do so much. And I know firsthand for the past several years, I've had many clients go there, get well, come back, and carry on with their lives. And we're back to Studio 21 Podcast Cafe in our show. Ed, do you have anything for us today?
I do. I got a couple things, Mike, before we get to our guest. First thing I want to do is I want to wish Sean Kane happy birthday.
Happy
birthday, Sean.
Sean's the man.
It's Sean's, I believe, 40th birthday today.
He's so good looking, I can't stand it.
That's a big one.
I know he was a guest a
He's
couple
40?
weeks ago.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
My waistline is 40.
Also, I just want to say I was with a couple of the ladies and Dennis from Baldpate Hospital today. They're watching, and I just want to say hello to them. Hi, everybody. It was
great work there.
Talking to Baldpate's wonderful place.
Beautiful location.
And I would like to introduce our guest, Rich, the step guy Lombardi.
Hey,
back.
Thanks a lot, Ed. Nice to see you
Nice
again.
to see
Nice
you,
to
Rich.
see you,
Nice
Mikey.
to have you.
Rich.
Always good
It's
to
always
have
a pleasure to get back. It's been 90 days
90
already.
days, wow.
Well, I want to just congratulate everybody out there on your anniversaries, and hopefully you've been with us, and we're really looking forward to a great show. We're going to talk a little bit about Step 3 today.
Yep.
Making a decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understood Him.
Yep.
So I'd like to start the meeting by the third step prayer, if you don't mind.
That'd be nice.
It says, God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage yourself, that I may better do Thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may be a witness to those I would help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May I do Thy will always. Amen.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, let's surrender.
Yes,
Surrender.
That's it.
Unbelievable.
Surrender's the key.
Exactly.
That's right.
Step
Exactly.
3.
Step
You have
3.
a lot of paperwork over there on Step 3, Rich.
I got more stuff than I need, to be honest with you. Or maybe I need it all, actually.
I think we all need it all.
Yeah, exactly. And so as I'm thinking here, I was just thinking that, it's just a matter of being willing.
Yep.
Once again, this program is about willingness.
Surrendering.
Open-mindedness and honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, right? The how of the program. Right, so we're going to get honest with ourselves, and step 1, we were powerless. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, and our lives became unmanageable.
Certainly
and then
did.
obviously step 2, and then now here we are. We're going to have step 2. We're going to ask God to restore us to sanity.
Yep.
And now that we've been restored to sanity, we're going to make a decision.
Yep.
And for me, every day, this is a surrender step for me every day. This is one of the steps that I practice in the morning. Upon arising, I it was suggested to me that I get on my knees and I ask a power greater than myself to relieve me of the obsession of alcohol and drugs, and then I make a decision, and I happen to use the third step prayer on the regular. It's a great way to get the day started.
Right. And how long has that been working for you?
Right now, let's see, I'm about 29 and close to a half years sobriety, and I haven't looked back.
Right. Nope. You can't do it. You can't look back.
No, we can't look back. We're got to move forward every day.
Yeah.
And try to make a little progress every day. Not perfection.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
Want to keep it simple.
Yep.
Right. I think I'm a simple guy.
Yep,
and I think you guys are simple guys too.
Absolutely.
We try to be. Well, I'm complicated. Ask my wife.
She said you're a simpleton.
Yes.
I just read the text.
Nice.
Just kidding.
So
Step 3, Rich, and correct me if I'm not a huge step guy. That's why we have you here. It's one of the first action steps, isn't it?
Yes, it's the beginning of the process of the action. We start doing the work now.
That's right.
Yep, absolutely. And in the 12 and 12, it says it's more of an acceptance step.
Exactly.
So action, acceptance, it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3, right? We're going to acceptance. That's the acceptance, generally the acceptance steps, and then it begins the process of the work.
Yeah.
Because we're going to move on to step 4 eventually. Is sooner than later.
Yeah.
As I learned this weekend, sooner than later.
Yeah.
We don't have to put any of this off. We want to get this done as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
So we can move on to our recovery.
Yeah. Right. And real quick about the steps, Rich. We just don't do the steps one time in our life and we're done. We work these at certain times in our lives when we feel we need it again. It's not like, okay, step through 12 is done and see you later, Rich, you're gone. You're going to come back a year from now and do this again, right?
Yeah, well, we're always constantly, as we get a little further along in the process and in the program and the solution, obviously we're going to be maintaining on the regular.
Yep.
But sure, there's no problem. We can always go back. Sure. There's always going to be struggles. I've struggled throughout. Sometimes I feel like I want to do this some days, and then other days, I struggle with it a little bit,
Sure.
but I always go back.
Yeah.
Right? If we got to go back, right? If you're struggling, it's perfectly all right to go back to the beginning.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Wally P., who we spent some time with this weekend up at Bill Wilson's house.
Bill Wilson.
And
one of the founders of AA.
Yeah. Bill Wilson, born in East Dorset, Vermont.
Correct.
A great man. So I just want to kind of give them a shout out. Had a wonderful and a very spiritual weekend this
Sounds
weekend.
like you did.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot
Very
about
excited, very excited.
We're talking before the show. It was really interesting with all the information and knowledge you brought back to us. We've all been around the program quite a while.
Yeah.
A lot of 24 hours.
Yeah.
But you know what? You came back with some little tidbits and some really interesting points
Yeah.
that, I never heard of. And
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll do a show on that.
Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you in here one week and do a show on it.
Exactly.
It was very fascinating listening to you. But we're actually on step 3.
Yep.
And that's kind of the first 3 steps are you kind of work them all together. What I got out of it, I read it again in my last couple hours. I read it again. Step 3 really opens doors, right? I mean, it opens doors to turning everything over.
Yep.
And do you agree with that?
Oh, of course, yeah. So it's the beginning of the process of opening the doors, starting to take a look at ourselves, right? Turning it over, trusting and relying, those type of things. It says here, I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I don't know where to begin. It's so much stuff to go over. I think about being an actor, being self-centered, and I'm not really concerned about my resentments and my self-pity and those type of things. And so this starts to open the door to that. I start to look at that. I start to see the truth. And once we see the truth and we know the truth will what?
Set us free.
Set us free.
Amen. It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Sets us free.
We all started up recovery whenever we started. It doesn't really remember. It doesn't really
day
matter.
at a time.
What I do remember is early recovery. The steps weren't really talked about because I was going to open discussion meetings, and I don't know if that rings true for either one of you gentlemen.
Yeah.
But I just remember a guy with a lot of sobriety. His name was Henry Sullivan, and he had been sober a long time, 1986. And
We don't get that confused with our producer,
not
Ed
with Ed Sullivan, no.
Ed Sullivan. Hey, we're on the Ed Sullivan show today.
That's right. But I just remember him talking about came to believe. Step 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
And for me, came to believe in a power greater than myself could help me get to where I'm at. And I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, it seems like there's, religion is almost like a taboo subject to some people, And we don't have to be religious to be involved in the steps, do we, Rich?
Not at all. Not at all. No, it's finding a power greater than yourself that
Higher power.
Yeah, higher power that suits and fits your needs. Some people, unfortunately, when I came here, the God of my understanding had changed.
Yes.
Became a punishing God, and the guilt, the shame, the remorse type of thing.
Plus, you're Catholic too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Growing up in the parochial school system, that'll tell you something right there. But I always had wonderful experiences with that. But then there was a time in my life once I picked up that. I stopped doing business with the God of my understanding.
Sure.
And I learned this new thing this weekend. I just wanted to kind of show it to you. So this is a little triangle here. And so we got the power greater than ourselves at the top, and then there's you and me.
Yeah.
And so me and you, we work the program, we help each other, and when we get all the power from the higher power.
Kind of like we have on our shirt. Ed.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, the triangle.
I'll show that shirt
right,
in a minute.
the triangle.
Right.
Unbelievable.
That's there for a reason.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what Rich was showing for you guys who's not watching us on YouTube is the triangle. He's holding his fingers up.
A pyramid.
And that's our little logo for Friends in Recovery.
No coincidences.
No, not at all. Turning our will over to the God of understanding. That's hard for some people.
It is.
It's hard for me still nowadays. And that's the hugest part of our step is turning our will over.
It's the
how?
Well, it's the constant struggle.
Yep.
My will and what's God's will. What is my will?
Right.
Today, prior to that, I believed that my will, if I did everything myself and I took care of everything, that I'd be okay. And then I ignored my higher power's will. Now today, I want to rely mostly on 100%. It's not easy. It's hard every day. That's the struggle. I always think of the cartoons. I think about the devil and the angel on each side of the shoulder. Right. And then I got the alcohol and the drugs over here saying, come, do this. And then I got my higher power over here saying, no, don't do that. And so what voice am I listening to?
Yeah.
What voice am I listening to? So today, as I surrender, I ask God so I can connect and listen to the good voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
The good, or the voices in my head.
And that's turning our will over to the right side of our shoulder.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Or which way? Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
So now the meat and potatoes of this of this step is the turning our will of the care of God as we understand Him. That's really, I guess, the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah, well, it's a decision.
Yeah,
really.
Decision is the meat and potatoes.
Yeah,
of this step.
ultimately
You're
we
right.
come to a decision, right? We're just going to make a decision. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. It's not sophisticated. I'm just going to make a decision. Like anything in life, you want to do something. You want to get a good job. You want to go to school. You want to get married, or any of those things. Although I don't know nothing about being married, unfortunately. But making a decision. Right, I'm going to make a decision, and then you put the work in.
Yep.
Then you go to work.
Yeah.
Right, and I think for me anyway, thine will not mine be done. And my best thinking took me to places I didn't want to be.
Yep.
With people I didn't want to be with. Certainly doing things I didn't want to do. So it was really easy for me in the beginning when I got on my knees to ask for help and to say, "Your will, not mine, be done." I didn't say God. I didn't say Christ. I didn't say saints or anything. It was just. Although I have a very firm and strong belief in my own religion, but that wasn't the God I met in AA. It was just praying. It was just praying to the unknown, I guess. Obviously, something's working because the very basics about following the steps is, I think prior to that, is just actually surrendering, getting on your knees, asking for help.
Absolutely.
So, old school anyway.
And it allows you to look into yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And your attitudes and your outlooks on life, and begins to change all that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even an AA meeting and making a commitment to an AA meeting is really turning your will over to something.
Yeah, you're making a decision.
Make a decision to go to a meeting every day.
That's
to
it.
give up booze. I mean, it's really basic if you think about it.
Simple program.
Yeah, we can get into this. You can read the book, you can read the chapter, but that's what it's that's what it's all about is getting to an AA meeting, and you automatically turn your will over. Once you're in that meeting, not drinking and not picking up, you're sober for that meeting. And you made that decision.
And the more you go, the better it gets. And we all know alcoholism, drug addiction. It's a disease. It's a disease, as cancer is a disease. People might not want to believe that, but better minds, smarter minds than us have determined it is, the AMA, the American Medical Association. And I guess my point is that this is a disease. If you told a person with terminal cancer, if they just had to go to a meeting every day, read a little literature, get on their knees, ask for help, get on their knees and thank them, and they might be able to live a normal life, they'd jump at that in the middle. Yeah. But see, this disease is so insidious. It's so confusing to some people, well, to our own minds, that we sometimes balk at that, and it's just a simple way of life. It really is.
Yeah, so we make a decision, then we turn it over, which is like a surrender, and then our will. The control the mind has over desires and actions. And I got to quit playing God, because that's really what I was doing out there when I was out there. I was playing God out there. And then, obviously, that affects my life, care of, offering concern, and a place of refuge, right? It gives me a sense of ease and comfort.
Absolutely.
That I used to get from the alcohol, and now I get it from my higher power.
Kind of serenity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, peace of mind. A lot of things that we don't understand when we first get around. But as we practice these things, they become we become more aware.
Well, the steps we practice, hopefully, almost in our everyday lives, some form or another. And step 3 is is one of the biggest steps that you have to make that decision almost every day. Especially, like you said, you wake up in the morning, you get on your knees, and you decide to turn it over to the will of your God of your understanding.
Gentlemen, we're going to take a little break.
Okay.
We've been going here for a bit, and we'll be
already?
right back.
Damn,
we'll be right back. And you are listening to Friends in Recovery Podcast live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. And I'm telling you, I wish you could all see what I'm looking at. This is a place second to none. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Put that hammer down and check out the Don't Do It Yourself podcast. The Don't Do It Yourself podcast is a weekly podcast where Tommy Two Shoes and No Nonsense Nance sit down with a different specialist every week. If you're tired of unvetted and uninsured contractors charging too much money for not enough quality, you need to check out the Don't Do It Yourself podcast, the Contractors Referral Program. The Don't Do It Yourself podcast is live on YouTube every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. or on demand on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast catcher. Put that hammer down and don't do it yourself. Genesis House is a premier substance abuse and rehabilitation facility located in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. We have been providing the highest quality of addiction treatment since 1992 and are accredited by the Joint Commission. We offer a range of programs that include detox, residential treatment, dual diagnosis, a Christian track for people who want to incorporate their faith into treatment, a uniform services track, and we work with most major insurance carriers. Genesis House is led by a dedicated team of administrative and clinical professionals, and we stand on our commitment to excellence in recovery services. Contact us today to find out more about our program. Take the first step and call Genesis House at 800-737-0933 or visit us on the web at www.genesishouse.net. That's 800-737-0933 or www.genesishouse.net. Begin your journey to a long and successful recovery with Genesis House.
Richie Lombardi, the Step Guy, joins us once a month on the second Tuesday, where we plan to get in-depth with each of the 12 steps to recovery. Come get sober with the Friends in Recovery podcast and Rich, the Step Guy, Lombardi. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to get this and every episode each and every week.
Hey, welcome back. Friends of Recovery podcast, live from the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. Ed, do you have something for us?
I do, Mike.
Oh, boy.
It's a little
Exciting
self-promotion
times.
here for us.
Exciting times.
Exciting
I'd
times.
like to, Mike, if you want to just describe what I'm holding up here for the people who can't see
Ed's
it.
holding up a Friends of Recovery podcast T-shirt that I took the liberty to have some made, and now we're going to have more made because we're going to be selling them. And on the back it says Podfather with a old-fashioned microphone for the P and Podfather because, as you know, I am the Podfather.
Yeah, we call Mike the
That's
Podfather.
right.
Podfather.
We'll have some music for you next time,
All
Mike.
right, it has something to do with my age, I think. But no, these shirts are really nice. They're well-made. Right, Ed?
I love this shirt.
Yeah,
My
nice
daughter
gift.
stole mine from me last week. So
High quality.
So if you're watching and you saw the shirt, you're more than welcome to get in touch with us. Or if you're listening and you want a shirt, At the end of the show, we'll give you some
The shirts
numbers.
How do they get in touch with us? How do they get in touch
well,
with us?
they can email us, Rich,
Okay.
for a shirt at friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Send us an email saying you want a shirt.
Right.
Give us your mailing address, and we'll get in contact with you.
And
Phone number.
Now, does $20 cover the shipping and handling?
Covers everything.
wonderful.
For now, yeah. We
I
don't
might
wanna-
buy a couple myself.
There you go.
You should do that.
What a deal.
Well, back to Rich in step 3. We're kind of trying to cover as much as we can in unfortunately
In a
short
short period of time,
I wish we
yeah.
had like 3 days to
Yeah.
talk about all this. you
Yeah,
know?
of course.
It's a little
But,
bit much, but a day would be good.
Yeah.
Rich, I know you wanted to talk about something. In between the break, we were saying we were talking about what were you talking about?
Well, we were talking. I don't know. You forgot already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get together later. Talk. You better give your sponsor a call.
I should.
I think we're going to have to hit him with a step.
Hey, I turned my will and my life over to God this morning. I mean, what more?
We don't, we don't want to turn anyone off, and we don't want to, once again, this is about a power greater than yourself of your own understanding.
Correct.
You may not believe what I believe, but
Absolutely.
through recovery, we learn how to have an open mind.
Correct.
Right, and we all have thoughts and processes. Listen, I tell you, if the world reacted in that way, we'd have a lot more harmonious world, right?
Absolutely.
It seems like right now we got way over here and way over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we're just going to, find your higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for the help, and you will receive the help. And I was reading this here. It says here, see, we were asked to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of what we do not understand, yet may define our own conception of this power as we may for our own understandings of our spiritual expressions and spirituality.
I like that because you know what? And I'll give you a perfect example of my early recovery. I went into recovery, as I told you guys plenty of times, for my first wife. I went into into recovery for her and my kids. And I prayed and I wanted my wife back. I wanted everybody back. And my sponsor said, you better be careful what you pray for because you just might get it back.
Yes.
And, I started thinking, well, what the hell does he mean by that? But if I got that life back again, I don't think we'd be sitting up here talking.
Yeah.
So my sponsor said, just turn it over. Just turn it over. And you know what? I didn't understand at the time. 24 years later, I understand it now.
Right,
so
through the process.
So the things that we're turning over at the time, we may not understand. And why we're doing it, but we don't need to worry about it. I don't think, and I think it'll reveal itself later on.
More
in
to
life.
be revealed.
Exactly.
And you know what's
Exactly.
I think it's important, too, just real quick, is that we all probably quit 50, 60, 70, 100 times on our own. We quit. We're not
That was
going
in
to
one
drink
day.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to do drugs anymore. This is it. I'm done.
Every morning.
I'm sick. I'm dying. Especially if you were sick and dying. I'll never drink again. Please help me. But once I came into the program, I can honestly say the obsession, the compulsion to pick up a drink of a drug, when it left me so quickly that I didn't even know it left me. In other words,
I have a very similar
Yeah.
experience.
it was like 30, 50 days into it, I'm like, geez, I haven't had even thought of it. Not once. And to me, that's
a miracle.
That was the miracle.
Yeah, that's a
Absolutely.
miracle.
Absolutely.
We keep on saying I keep turning my will and my life over to the God of our understanding. Why do I keep doing that? I mean, again, we were just talking about that. But here in the 12 and 12, it says that that we become more independent on a higher power. We become more dependent on a higher power. It actually makes us more independent that we actually are.
Yes.
I mean, I found that out. Do you find that true, guys?
I do. Yeah.
Like-
I had no power.
Yeah.
When I came into the program, and now
I don't know if that made sense, but
yeah, no,
okay.
it definitely makes sense. And through the other thing that I was thinking about while you were saying that was, as we practice this, we begin to develop faith. Faith, because we start to see it working. The obsession is lifted. If that's been your only thought for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it's been, now all of a sudden you're not thinking the same way you used to think. Now you say to yourself, oh, it's working.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's working. What they're telling me is working.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the
Sometimes
importance,
quickly,
suggestions.
sometimes slowly.
Yeah, but it'll always materialize if we work for
Yes.
it.
It
and the
does.
importance of going to meetings was, I heard this once at a meeting. I can't, he can, I'll let him. And that basically is just breaking down what Ed just said.
Simple.
You know? It makes it so simple. You know, my will got me doing things I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and so turning it over, which is very basic, and it doesn't matter what you're praying to. There's no specifics. You know, and I think HP, higher power, to me, that's That's the specific for anybody, or somebody stronger than you. And even if you don't believe that I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to believe, just believe
Right.
we
If
believe.
it's working for me, you got to believe in something.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, when
For
you
a
get-
thick-headed Italian like myself, believe me.
Well, when you get a sponsor, that's what's great about a sponsor, because you look up to him, you're like, wow, that worked
Right.
for him.
Yeah.
Right. So that must work. It must somewhere down the round road going to work for me. So I'll ask my sponsor, how did you do that?
Exactly.
And basically, it's turning it over, and then just basically waiting and praying on it and hoping.
Well, it takes time.
Yeah.
You know it takes time.
Yes, it does.
Right.
It does. Absolutely.
And it's, one alcoholic helping another.
Yeah.
Right? We're helping each other, right? So if you have
Absolutely.
questions, get together with your sponsor, ask them the questions, and then you will get the answers that you need.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just trying to go through my notes here.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know what I'm writing here, what
All
I
kinds
put
of
down.
things,
So,
yeah. Well, 'cause,
the one question I did want to ask you, Rich,
Oh,
on
boy,
some of that.
questions.
I'm good at questions.
Yeah, I bet you are.
It's like an FBI interrogator.
That's right.
I feel like I'm back at the institution.
CO.
Yeah, oh boy.
On your paper that you gave, it says how it works, page 58 through 64.
Yes.
I'm guessing how it works kind of. I'm not that smart.
Encapsulates
so.
that,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
you want to touch
wow,
a little?
that's a big word, encapsulates.
Hold on, let me Google that.
Yeah.
You want to kind of maybe tell us how
Brings together.
how it brings it all together. Yeah, the
Yeah,
step book and
so it brings it all together. So just to give you a couple of things, so obviously in how it works, page 58 to 64, and then it talks about the keystone, the triumphant arc that we walk through on page 62, paragraph 3, and then a beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Because really what we're doing is we're making a beginning.
Yes.
Right, we're making a beginning. And then what does it say to you? So as you read these things, what I do when I read the book is I identify with it.
Okay.
And I try to put myself into the story.
Yep.
And I find that I can absorb that information a lot more than if I just read it as a book.
Yeah.
It's just a book and I'm reading it or whatever. I
Yeah.
try to process that information within myself, identify,
Absolutely.
and then just apply.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah, it is. It is simple, but
For
we
complicated
we
people.
complicated,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I complicate
absolutely.
a free lunch, unfortunately.
Years ago, when I first got sober, I was sober a while, maybe 14 months or so, and I started getting these panic and anxiety attacks. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a strange feeling and just complete fear, full-blown fear and panic. And I just remember not knowing what to do, and I had won a step book at a meeting, and it was a small pocket book, a small book that fit in my pocket, but it was a step book. And somebody had suggested read steps 1, 2, and 3. Takes about 17 minutes, and it'll calm you down. It'll quell your disturbance. And you know what? I must have read steps 1, 2, and 3 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was better than medication. It got me to where I needed to be.
Exactly. I know my sponsor, who has got quite some number of days in recovery. When he first came around the program, they had a simple prayer. It was, God, help me a drunk.
Yeah.
God, help me a drunk.
Yeah.
God, help me a drunk, And if you had to say it all day, you said it all day, but
Yeah.
you got through the day.
Yeah.
And then your conception grows.
Yeah.
Right? As you do it and as you study it and as you apply this information to your life, your understanding and grows.
Absolutely.
Grows.
Now, in the latter part of the chapter of step 3, it talks about willpower.
Oh, yeah.
Can we touch a little bit on willpower? 'Cause-
Willpower? What's that?
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that's saying that I can do this, and I hear it 1,000 times a day from people who need help, that they have their willpower. They can do it. They know they can do it on their own willpower.
Yeah.
What do you think? And Mike, I know you're big with this too. What do you guys think on the willpower versus turning it over? What's the difference?
Oh, the difference is that when it's my will, it generally doesn't work out.
Okay.
That was my experience.
Sure. And I think this is a bit crude, but
Yeah.
I heard this at a meeting as well, and it says try using willpower on diarrhea.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, basically, you're going to get nowhere.
You're gonna need new underwear.
I like that.
That's funny. We were talking about that
Yeah,
earlier.
we were absolutely.
and like again, it's your own will. My will got me just completely nothing.
Yeah.
I had good intentions.
Always.
I was a good person. I tried as best I could, but until I surrendered, literally surrendered, and it's not a glamorous. The sky opens and someone touches you. You just surrender. You say the words, I surrender. I need help.
Yeah.
Whoever the higher power is, help me. Your will, not mine, be done. And if you truly surrender, And a lot of religions go on this concept as well.
They do, yes.
For life-changing events, for life-changing methods, for life-changing behavior. It's just what you do. You surrender to a higher power.
Yeah, I know. Oh, go ahead.
And just to get on the willpower
sure,
real quick.
Sure.
As you guys know, I'm a runner, and I have a bunch of running friends, and people who aren't running people. It's the same thing like people who aren't in recovery. They say, "Wow, it must take a lot of willpower to run a marathon, 26.2 miles."
Yeah.
I can't run out of willpower. I couldn't. You know
Train.
what I mean? I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't. You
Right.
train. You
gotta practice.
I pray to God. Listen, when you hit mile 20 in a marathon, there's no fucking willpower left.
Oh, here it comes.
Here comes Jonathan.
Got to be at least one. Got to be at least one F-bomb a week
That's
on
right.
this thing.
That's
From New
right.
Jersey.
How come it seems like the F-bombs always come
On
out
your
when I'm
show,
here?
that's right.
Yeah.
You bring out the beast in me, Rich.
I'm gonna have to turn it over later again.
But there's no willpower at that point.
No.
I'm telling you, from mile 20 to mile 26.2, it's all praying to God and
Adrenaline
thinking. And
and,
yeah,
movement,
absolutely.
yeah,
so
just-
that's how the program works too. Right. You pray, you get through it 1 minute at a time, 1
Sometimes,
second
yep,
at a
yep,
time.
yep.
You know,
Exactly.
So willpower, I believe, is a fraud in our business, anyways.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, our disease, as Mike was talking about earlier, I mean, my disease tells me that I can do this on my own and that I don't need a higher power. I don't need a program. I should be able to do this on my own. And I tried that many, many times like we all did, right? Like everyone does, at the end of the night or in the morning and you're hungover or whatever and you say to yourself, this is it. I got to really put it down and I got to do it. And I had best intentions too. And then, somehow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it always seemed like a good idea to have a little hair of the dog.
Yeah, and then you're right back to step one. And,
Exactly.
And I think time does take some time, doesn't it?
Time does take time. Yes.
Time takes time.
Time does take time.
Wow. Man, I sound like a singer.
That is our cue for our Time Takes Time portion of our show. Time Takes Time is sponsored by Genesis House. And at this point of the show, if I can find my notes.
Right, we ask our friends in recovery to...
Yep. This is where we ask our friends in recovery to email us your sober anniversaries so we can celebrate them with you. And I want to say congratulations to the following, but I don't think I have my list here.
No.
So
Well, all those were celebrated 90 days.
Here we go. Here we
since
go.
we started.
So today we want to celebrate a couple people here. Matt B, 4 years from northeastern Massachusetts.
Congratulations, Matt.
His anniversary date was in February.
Congratulations.
Michelle W, 2 years, Florence, New Jersey, back the 18th. She celebrates. Lisa C, 3 years.
Wow.
Amanda M, 1 year out of New Jersey.
Miracles.
Abby G, 1 year, Massachusetts, back in
Nice,
March.
nice.
Jason L, 5 years, he's in Massachusetts back in March. I also want to say a special hello to a good friend of mine, Josh, and his mom. His mom listens every week, Lori Lehman. Lori listens to us every week, and Josh is a good kid. I know Josh pretty personally, and this is a kid who he's coming up on a year in a little bit, but this kid is a hard worker. He's really dedicated to the program, and I have a great fortune of knowing him and being around him every once in a while.
Becoming a son.
Yep.
Well, time does take time.
Time does take time, and it's sponsored by the Genesis House. And listen for your up and coming names in the up and coming shows. If you want to celebrate with us, I'm sorry, I'm a little discombobulated here with our new Time Takes Time. Let's hear that again, Ed. If you want to celebrate your anniversary with us, please email us your first name, last initial, city, state, and anniversary date to help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. And remember, time does take time.
Ed, I'll take that back. if you
All
don't mind.
yours, Mike.
Things I must earn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Rich, back to you with the steps.
Okay, I I thought the show was over.
No, not yet.
Oh, all right.
Keep
Here we
going.
go. We're still going? All right.
We just had to get some of the business
God help
out of
me.
the way.
God help me.
We're waiting for all those big sponsors, so that's why
Oh,
we
okay, I
do that.
understand. I understand. I think about get back into the quit playing God thing. It's amazing. I did that my whole life. I try to run the show, and unfortunately, it never worked. And now I don't have to worry about that.
So much
anymore.
easier.
Yeah, it's easier to live life.
And unless you try it, if you really don't believe it works, just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it.
Believe that we believe.
Believe that we believe. And
it's only a suggestion.
Right. A lot of people, I'm in the therapy business. It's what I do for a living now that I'm retired from the police department. But, a lot of these people I see, they don't want to go to meetings. They're afraid someone's going to see them, or they don't think it works. There's all old people there, like myself. It's all that negativity. It's all that, to me, it's all denial. And I asked people, I said a young gentleman who's coming, I saw him Monday, he's coming again tomorrow. I asked him, I said, what lengths do you want to go to get sober? He goes, I'll do anything to get sober. I said, all right, we're going to go to a meeting. Well, he started getting anxious, and I could see he was getting a little perspiration on his brow. And I said, what's your biggest fear about going to a meeting? He goes, well, I don't know who'll be there. I mean, when you're out drinking and you're having all kinds of problems.
You don't care who's there.
And you lost your license. I mean, I think people might have an idea. I think it's just the opposite. When people see you trying to get better, when you're trying to put your life back together, don't you agree? Everybody tries to help you out. People in this program.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, exactly.
People come running to you.
Exactly.
When we were drinking, they ran away from us because there's Ed. He's drinking again. He's going to cause problems. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. But when you get sober, first of all, when you get sober and you raise your hand in a meeting and you say, this is 2 days or whatever, I guarantee you when you're walking out that door, and it probably happened to every one of us, that there's going to be people there congratulating you,
hugging you,
giving you phone numbers, doing it whatever it takes to help you get through all that. And if that's not a higher power, I don't know what is.
Because they've all been there. They've been there themselves.
I'll give you a quick example if we have time, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Keep going.
I like to tell stories. So, I told you this weekend I was up at Bill Wilson's house, and I was at a conference, and it was very exciting and very serene and spiritual and just a phenomenal day. And a gentleman came to the meeting at 7 days of he was in 7 days of recovery.
Wow.
And he was shaking and quaking, and he was like upset, and he raised his hand and spoke, and he asked for help the only way he knew how. And he got the help that he needed. It was amazing. This woman came up to him after the meeting, and she gave him a hug, and she said, "Are you here for the conference?" And he said, "No, I can't afford it. I don't have any money." And the woman said, "I'll pay for you."
Wow.
$125 for the weekend. Right. Wow. And the next thing you know, he spent the whole weekend with us at the meeting, and to be honest with you, he got transformed. He was a different guy. The guy that I saw Friday night was not the guy that was Sunday when we were all leaving. He was a different guy. And he got some hope in his life again. And in my world, that comes from my higher power.
Well, that's what the program gives us. It gives us hope. It gives us huge hope. And the last line on step 3 is the serenity prayer.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I read it. I'm like, oh my God. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done.
Exactly.
That's how the step ends. And need I say more?
And what do we start our meetings with? The serenity prayer, and then we generally end with the Lord's prayer.
And when
it's all about serenity.
And when you're struggling through that willpower thing or whatever, I was always told, say the serenity prayer.
Yes.
Say the serenity prayer. And it's funny, I want to tell you a quick story before we wrap up. I was going to this meeting in Saraville, New Jersey. It was the Step Beyond Club. And I was going religiously every day. And, when you're first in recovery, man, you can't remember anything. So they would I can't remember if they started with the Lord's they started with the serenity prayer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how am I ever remember this? It's a paragraph long. And I didn't say anything. And it was winter out. I went to put my jacket on. I stuck my hands in my pocket, and there was a piece of paper in there. Somebody stuck a serenity prayer in my pocket.
See?
It was amazing. And I held on to, I think I still have it in one of my books, is that little serenity prayer. Somebody knew I was struggling somewhere, somehow. Unless the guy put it in everybody's pocket, but it really meant something to me 24 years later.
Yeah,
it really did.
You were open to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a great show. Rich, I got to tell you, I look forward to every month. You are the step guy.
He is.
You do a great job.
Absolutely.
And, well, that's it for today's show. We are Friends in Recovery, broadcasting live from the Studio 21 podcast.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
And don't forget, you can reach us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, 1-800-989-6504, friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and be sure to like us and subscribe. Come get sober with us. Thank you, Rich.
Amen,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you, Rich.
Yeah.
Mike,
Pleasure.
good job.
Thank you very
Good job,
much.
everybody.
All right.
Remember, there's a meeting somewhere tonight.
That's right. Take care, everybody.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.